Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Vietnam, from Ho Chi Minh City. Welcome to this call. Welcome to the ADCN website launch. And on behalf of all the 6 chambers of the ASEAN Dutch Chamber Network, I would like to thank you for your interest in this subject. In the next coming hour, we will do a couple of things, and I have outlined those on the following slide. Essentially, we have just started with the top point. My name is Guido van Rooij. I am the host of this webinar. I am the executive director of DBAV, and I am the parting chair of ADCN. After me, Nanya Berkey, she will be the new rotating chair of the ADCN. We'll talk more about the ADCN itself. We'll reveal more of the key points of ADCN's strategy, and she will reveal the website by means of a video and also show what the underlying idea behind the website is. More and more people are joining this call. That is absolutely fantastic to see that. Welcome. We have not yet started. 4:20, we will have 3 speakers. We start with Remco Koster from Expandion. We have Gabor Fluit from the Heus Asia. And we have Edo Offerhaus from NL in Business to speak about what ASEAN means for them and what they believe the role is that ADCN could play for Dutch entrepreneurs. In a bit of a broad sense, this will be a Q&A. Then after the Q&As with our speakers, we will move on to the breakout rooms where Dutch market entrants or members of the chambers can quickly connect with the executive directors of the various chambers to understand more about the respective countries that we represent. And it will be about 5 p.m. when we close this webinar down. So that's the program. I'm looking forward to going through that in the coming hour with you. There are a few moments of where technical hiccups may occur. Bear with us there. We have a website reveal video. We've got breakout rooms. So there are plenty of things that on the technical side can occur, but I'm sure you'll stick with us if it takes a minute longer than exactly planned. Having said that, I would like to welcome Nanya. She is the rotating chair of the ADCN. She is vice chair of the Dutch Business Network Indonesia, and she will talk us through the changes that the ADCN has gone through and the coming period of time with ADCN.
Okay, Guido, thank you. My name is Nanya. I'm board member of the Dutch Business Network in Jakarta. And it's a pleasure to chair the ADCN for the next 6 months. But within the next few minutes, I will elaborate more on ASEAN and ADCN. So for those of you who are considering to be active in ASEAN or expanding business in ASEAN, it might be a smart move. Because one thing is for sure, the dynamic and fast-growing countries in this region offer many opportunities, possibly for you too. But what makes this region so interesting? ASEAN has become a major economic player, and the region continues to grow. It's likely to be the world's 4th largest market by 2030. And if we go back to 55 years ago, ASEAN was founded to promote economic growth in the region, but also to achieve social and cultural progress. And the countries that fall under the ASEAN region together form a free trade zone. And despite the fact that ASEAN countries themselves present themselves as one region, it is good to realize, I think, that the countries differ greatly in economic, but also in cultural status. Singapore, for instance, is one of the most economically productive countries in the world, while other ASEAN countries are still classified as emerging countries or economies. And the countries also differ culturally. For instance, Indonesia has the largest Islamic population in the world, and countries such as Myanmar and Laos are predominant Buddhist. But over to ADCN, what do we have to offer? Here you see the 6 chambers. If you can go one slide back, yes. So we work together. The 6 Dutch chambers in the region work together. Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Indonesia. But we also work together with valued partners. I would like to mention that as well, such as the Dutch Enterprise Agency, RVO, and the Dutch embassies, NL in Business, but also the Netherlands Business Support Offices. And we do that to serve the needs of the members affiliated with these 6 chambers. ADCN is here to inspire. If you can go to the next slide, please. And also to share connections and knowledge. Entrepreneurs and new market entrants who are looking for relevant business insights in ASEAN will find regional information, upcoming events, newsletters, and also podcasts on the ADCN website. And of course, we hope that the pandemic will be relatively stable this year so that we can continue to organize insightful events. And we will inform you about upcoming events through our website and newsletter. This week, the first newsletter will be published. And also plans are in the making for matchmaking, digital matchmaking between Dutch entrepreneurs who are active or new in ASEAN. And also to repeat the success of our annual career fair to connect Dutch businesses in the ASEAN region with international talent. So stay tuned. And now over to the launch of our brand new website. We are excited to announce that our new and refreshed website is live as of today, and it's definitely recommended to have a look yourself. Tien, could you please start the video?
So that was the video where we have introduced the new website of ADCN for you. It is it has been a lot of work to get it done, but we're so happy to introduce this to you. And I think that the catch of this website, if I may, is the fact that if you, for example, fill out the contact form and you are wanting to know more about another country, then connecting to an expert in that other country from your same nationality is now easier than ever. So entrepreneurs can help entrepreneurs just by sharing information on this platform, and a lot of information is shared on this platform by us, by the chambers, but also by other institutes, economic institutes, for example, that you can find. And also over the past year, we have done such a large effort in making podcasts, for example. And these podcasts are not only available through the website. Actually, if you type in ADCN on, for example, Apple Music or Spotify, then you will find 5 podcasts for all the countries that participate with ADCN. And then you can also listen in your car or in the train or in your daily commute about expert stories, what it's like to do business in countries in the ADCN region. And we would like to emphasize that this is not only for Dutch market entrants that are now sitting in the Netherlands. It is also meant for companies that want to step over, right? So they want to come from, let's say, Thailand, and they want to step to Indonesia, or they're in Vietnam, they want to go to Malaysia to see if their business has chances there as well. And what better place to start than at a Chamber of Commerce? On those topics, that's what I want to speak about with three of my guest speakers. And I would like to start off with Remco Koster from Expandian. Do I say that right, Remco?
That's correct, yes, Expandian.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I'm going to do an effort to introduce you. You are a professional with a proven track record of business development in emerging markets, such as Malaysia over the past 20 years. Some of your achievements are newspaper direct. I know you had the leadership over Woodwing Software, and you were Chief Commercial Officer for Silver Street International. And right now you are also on the boards of various trade support organizations, such as the Malaysian Dutch Business Council and Eurocham Malaysia. Is that an introduction that feels right to you?
Yeah, that's correct. It's not only Malaysia, but I've also worked and set up businesses in Indonesia as well.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, that all started 20 years ago. So what is for you the attraction of this region?
Well, the attraction, I think 20 years ago was that, we were just looking, the first time I came here 20 years ago was as a project manager, so not as a business startup guy. And what really attracted me to ASEAN was, the interesting developments in Southeast Asia. A friend of mine was living in Jakarta, had a great time there, quite vibrant despite the problems Indonesia just came out of in that time. We're talking about 2002. So Indonesia was just recovering in that time from the political turmoil of the late 90s. But Malaysia, the Petronas Towers were just built, and my first office was in the Petronas Towers. So yeah, so what drove me to Asia, to ASEAN region is adventure. Basically, I had never been to Asia before, and it has not disappointed me. So I only intended to go here temporarily for 1 year actually originally,
right.
And then the plan was to go to the US, but I sort of stuck around and I'm still here. I moved into sort of a business capacity in 2004 and 5, where I set up the newspaper direct franchise you just mentioned in Indonesia. Indonesia at that time, of course, we're talking about 2004, was very different than it is now. The democracy had just succeeded sort of through the turmoil at the end of the Suharto period. Megawati was president, I think, at that time, followed by SBY. And yeah, it was there were exciting times. So what I found in ASEAN is a lot of energy, fast-growing economies, young population. Singapore, of course, slight exception. The population is slightly older there. But really positive-looking peoples. So all the people that I met, both in Indonesia, Malaysia, but also other ASEAN countries, have always been very positive, forward-looking, not too much looking at the past, but looking very much at the future. So that was really a big experience that I had in ASEAN.
For you, Remco, is the energy and the positive, the forward outlooking, positive lifestyle of people in ASEAN. Well, very well said. That was also my experience. You are, as a board member, also sideways involved with the ADCN, this Dutch chamber network.
Yes.
What do you think is the added value for the MDBC network members that we have this network?
Now, of course, first of all, the network opportunities that MDBC offers, but also, of course, all the other chambers offers. When I came to Indonesia and to Southeast Asia the first time, not too many chambers were active. You had the Indonesian Netherlands Association, which was the predecessor of the Dutch Business Network, really active. I benefited greatly from the network that I built up through INA at that time. The previous management helped me find a president commissioner, for example, through that network. I met a lot of people, exchanged experience, invaluable. When I set up the woodwing business in Malaysia, MDBC was equally invaluable. It was my first point of call together with the embassy when I went to Malaysia the first time to set up the business there. And yeah, it's just been a great experience in terms of finding the right people to work with, exchanging experiences, but also representation with regards to government organizations. In Malaysia, for example, MDEC, Malaysia Development Corporation, is a big example. Other trade support organizations, the network, Malaysia, the chambers can help you link with the right people that can help you get work permits, for example. So there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, lots of benefits, and indeed, and also the thanks for answering that that question. So in a minute we will have these breakout rooms, Remco. And which one are you going to join?
I'm going to join the Malaysia one to help answer questions about Malaysia. I'm very much Malaysia based now, but I'm also very much focused on whole of ASEAN. I've done business in every single ASEAN country. I've helped had dealings with a lot of the chambers as well, also ADB Dutch Cham, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to continue with that. Also DBAV when it was much smaller. Can I maybe add a little bit,
please,
to explain to the audience what me as, for example, being based in Malaysia, being on the board of the MDBC, what I really value about the ADCN network, and Marco, the executive director of the MDBC, knows that from the beginning, is that I'm a regional entrepreneur, and have always been very interested in what events are organized in Indonesia, what events are organized in Thailand, Vietnam, etc. And it used to be you have to go to the various different websites. You have to go to the various, be linked to the various different LinkedIn pages. And I'm not saying don't do that. You should still be linked to all the different LinkedIn pages, etc. But it's just great to have a single platform for the region, because a lot of people that do business here, in my case, for example, do business in the whole of ASEAN. And for me, this is a really valuable platform. That's just what my pitch for the website to the audience.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's a very necessary add-on to what's already out there. There are many different things, right? So, for example, last year in 2020, so actually, a bit more than a year ago, there was this virtual trade mission to the ASEAN 5. Well, this ADCN group is clearly ASEAN 6, including the Philippines. But what I wanted to say is that the Dutch Enterprise Agency, the Rijksdienst voor Ondernemend Nederland, also launched a platform called B2Match, where companies that have interest in either one of the countries of ASEAN or in ASEAN as a whole can register themselves and be updated and connect with companies that are already there. So that is also I think a very nice initiative, to which this knowledge website, this opportunity to connect directly with someone who's, let's say, professionally involved in getting market entrants over the border and taking them in, is even more easily accessible than ever before. So how was that for you, Remco? Because you stepped into this region. Did you just fly out to Indonesia and went from there, or did you put a very thorough research before you came to Southeast Asia?
Well, I was lucky that in Indonesia I had a soft landing. As I said, my friend for a long time was living already in Indonesia for a long time. So he sort of introduced me into his own network, which helped a lot. And that was not only Dutch, but also a lot of British expats. And also he introduced me into, which I think is also really important when you live here, a very nice Indonesian network, where you get to meet a lot of interesting Indonesian people, which for me that was really important as well. Of course, it's great to have the business chambers, but it's also a great bridge into Indonesian business society, and I think that's also something the MDBC is also very active. The INA was very active in that as well. I said I found my president commissioner in Indonesian through that network. So for me, that was very important.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And opinions on the podcast? Are you an avid podcast listener, or is that not your thing?
I've listened to one of them actually.
Okay.
I think it was Sandra van Hellemond's podcast. It was very insightful podcast. So I found I'm going to listen to the others as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a wealth of information available, and what we see in Vietnam is that Vietnam is still on the radar, is still in the back of the minds, but obviously the pandemic has shifted the priorities to closer to home. That is a disadvantage for ASEAN as a region. But if you look, for example, at Vietnam and at the opportunities that are there in Vietnam, or the problems, if you will, that Vietnam has to deal with, and the Dutch solutions that are there, then indeed it will remain a region that will be highly interesting. And I can only express hope that the Vietnamese will open up their borders again, so that you can more easily come in, because that is eventually how real business is done, and that does probably not change.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in Asia, of course, relationships are very much on a personal level, and yeah, that's not always easy to do via Zoom calls, obviously. By the way, Guido, I saw Edo just joined. I will switch off my video and I will give you the floor again.
Fantastic.
Hi, Edo. Nice to see you.
Yeah, hi, Remco.
Hi.
Lovely to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Edo, and thanks for talking, Remco. Edo, yeah, we have been talking past 30 minutes about the launch of the ADCN website, of the website of the ASEAN Dutch Chamber Network. Before we get into our let's say Q&A, I'd like to introduce you a little bit. You are the Managing Director of NL in Business, and that is an organization that aims to get more Dutch entrepreneurs to more countries abroad. Is that still the mission after 3 or 4 years?
Yes, Guido. Thank you for the invitation. It's lovely to be here. I'm just checking which camera is working on my screen, but I think this is the right one.
Yes.
The NL in Business has been initiated in 2017 by VNO, NCW and MKB, the Netherlands, to support Dutch entrepreneurs in their international expansion. And we focus on about 12 countries/regions in the world. In Europe, that is Germany, France, Belgium, and the UK. It's Middle East, it is United States. And we have identified, together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the most relevant countries for our mid-cap companies. Now, some are countries, and we have 2 regions, and Southeast Asia is a critical region and is, as a region, part of the top 10. And so that means that in your region is looked at from the Netherlands as a region and not as individual countries. As individual countries, you would probably not have made the top 10, but as a region, you do. And therefore, a regional approach is highly relevant. And also because if we talk to entrepreneurs in the Netherlands, they are very enthusiastic and inspired by Southeast Asia, but they don't have a clue about the difference between Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. Singapore has a position on its own. But for them, it is about opportunities, it's about business partners and Southeast Asia. And therefore, it is highly relevant in the flow of support for Dutch entrepreneurs that they can enter the region through a regional network. And now also with a regional website and platform. And then they can decide themselves which are the most important cities, regions, countries for them to operate in. And from that perspective, we are thrilled that since the start, we're working closely with countries like I just mentioned, but also that is fully understood. But for this initiative, it would enhance the proposition if we could get Singapore more firmly on board than is the case now. because with Singapore, then we truly cover the whole region. But we are very pleased with how the development has been. And what we see is a continuous interest in the region, initially specifically from the Netherlands. But what we now also see is companies who are having second thoughts about China and the Greater China region, also exploring the options in Southeast Asia. Hong Kong is under pressure. China is changing, I don't need to tell you. And that makes it important for companies to look at Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Thank you, Edo. Yeah, and we briefly, these are all, I think, interesting observations, and that I all can definitely agree to and underline. Just prior, before our conversation, we touched upon the COVID-19 pandemic and how ASEAN as a region may have gone back into the back of the minds of Dutch entrepreneurs, and the priorities may be sought closer to home. How do you see that? What do you see happening maybe in the year of the tiger, or 2022, as you as you probably call it? What is your reflection on, or what is your outlook, I should say, on COVID-19 and the interest, the eagerness of Dutch entrepreneurs to come to Southeast Asia?
Yeah, I think strategically that will not have a huge impact. We sometimes have the feeling that the nearshoring perspective is a bit hyped. We don't see all of a sudden people moving their supply chain to Turkey or Portugal or Morocco. What we do see is that traveling is restricted at the moment to Europe. I myself, I've been together with Lisa in the United States in December. And that was possible, but the window of opportunity was almost only 3 weeks. At the moment, it is also very complex to travel to the United States. This week, I was supposed to be in Dubai at the World Expo that has been cancelled. For now, I think travel is highly restricted. But the mindset of Dutch entrepreneurs is not changing. And what I see is that Europe is getting closer and becoming more relevant. But that is from a demand point of view. The United States is highly relevant also from a demand point of view. But built in the US is enticing or forcing companies to move production from Asia to the United States, but it is specifically related to the United States. I talked about China, so from our perspective, Southeast Asia is a very stable, highly strategic partner of Europe. And also in your region, there are the necessary political hiccups, but that will not kind of jeopardize the trade relations, in our opinion.
No. Well, thanks for your observations. Thanks for sharing that, Edo. And also thanks for NL in Business's support to the ASEAN Dutch Chamber Network. And this regional approach is something that we are both, I think, eagerly looking forward to further explore and see how that contributes to hopefully more Dutch companies abroad. Thank you very much, Edo. And I'm moving over to Gabor Fluit now.
Hi.
Hey,
afternoon, good morning.
Good afternoon, and welcome in this call, and thanks for making time.
Yes, we have a end-year management meeting for our Asia management team, but I was able to quickly drop out of that meeting shortly.
Yeah, for which I'm very grateful, Gabor. So you are basically you are the CEO of the Heus Asia. That is a very large worldwide player in animal feed. You came to Vietnam, was that about 11 or 12 years ago, something like that?
Actually, more than 13, end of 2008. So we started in Vietnam small through acquisition of 2 small feed mills and grew the business from there, and started after 4 or 5 years, started expanding into the region, first through exports. And now we have feed mills besides Vietnam, we have feed mills in Cambodia, Indonesia, Myanmar and India, and we export to the Philippines, Malaysia, Bangladesh, and also a number of markets in Africa. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, so that is exactly the point that I wanted to talk to you about. We don't have so much time. You have to go back into your meeting, and we have to go into the breakout rooms. But what makes, I think, you very special is that you have so much personal experience in this region. And maybe you could talk a bit about the Heus's business expansion in Asia, and perhaps I'll highlight 1 or 2 choices that you made.
I think, first of all, I think the initiative that you are taking is very good, because we have experienced that on the one hand, there are big differences, like Edo also already mentioned, there are substantial differences between the countries in the region, but there are also similarities. And one of the reasons why we wanted to create a regional hub out of Vietnam for supporting the Asia region is that we can make use of our experiences in Vietnam when we enter into new markets. Especially when you go to other developing markets, there are certain similarities in terms of culture, in terms of issues you will face, bureaucracy, corruption, dealing with people coming from university who have a relatively good theoretical background, but are usually very poorly trained on the practical side.
Yeah.
So there are typical similarities where you can really apply your best practices, and I think that having a more regional business network, you could also become, I think, a platform for entrepreneurs who have that more regional ambition or a more regional view. And I think the China +1, I think there will also be more and more companies that, for example, will start spreading the risk and say, okay, we want to have a production base in Vietnam, but we also want to have a second production base in Indonesia, for example. For our business, the main reason why we are in different markets is because with our products, we mainly supply the local markets. And then it's also a lot about being in the market, logistics advantages of really having a local production facility. So that's the main driver for us, why we expanded. And in some countries, we followed a more greenfield approach, building the market up from scratch, like in Cambodia and Myanmar. Yeah. But in Indonesia, we have chosen to acquire 2 existing businesses. So there we followed more the path of M&A. So in markets where the industry is already more established, we tend to go for the M&A approach. And also in Philippines, for us, is on the list of let's say, entry through an investment of an existing business.
Yeah, interesting stories, and interesting that you have taken diverse approaches when entering a new market. And regardless your approach or your strategic choice, whether you step in greenfield or you buy into a company and expand from there, maybe can we, as a final question, maybe can you give 1 general piece of advice to Dutch entrepreneurs that want to enter or want to expand?
Yeah, it's a bit of a, many people, of course, always refer to that, but at the end of the day, it's all about the right people. So you need to find the right person to go into a new market, look for the right profile, and then also when you are in such a market, try to find the right people who help you build the business further. And we have experienced ourselves as well that in markets where we were not able to find the right people from the start, we have been struggling a lot, and where we were able to do so, we were able to boost the business very fast. I think that's 1, and 2 is also, I really underestimated that initially, the role of government, both the local government that you work with, but also the Dutch government, and up to which level the Dutch government, the embassy, the consulate, also the Dutch business network can support newly established businesses. When we started here, we had some issues, and then I didn't even know that there was a DBAV I could go to, or there was a consulate I could go to get some help. And when I started doing it, I appreciated that a lot.
Fantastic. Well, the first is it's all about the people, and second is basically know who your partners are, right? Know who your partners in business can be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Gabor, thank you very much. Thanks for making time. I would like to thank all three speakers. So not only Gabor, you, but also Edo and Remco for making time. We are going to go into breakout rooms for those who are interested to learn more about the specific markets. You are going to go in your year-end management meetings. Lovely. And we are going to create and open the rooms now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The rest, please bear with me for a second. I'm just creating these rooms right now, right away. Philippines, then there should be Thailand and Singapore, of course. Yes, and open all rooms. So the idea is, I'm not sure if you can please choose a room. The idea is simple, just go to one of the, if you click on the topic breakout rooms, you can join the room that is interesting for you or where you think you can be of value. And if you want to just have a chat, you can do that in the central lobby, which is here. So I will step into the Vietnam room now, and I will be back in about 10 or 15 minutes. So welcome back, everybody, in the main room as we wait for the rest of the participants to come back. Any of the directors maybe want to briefly share the experience in the breakout room?
Thank you, Guido. This is Hans from the NCCC Thailand. I had one visitor in my call. I think the number of guests were quite limited if I saw the other colleagues' rooms. Guido, compliments for the coordinating role today for this launch of the website. I think what we try to aim is a message to at least this audience, and of course in newsletters and also in future webinars, which we organize frequently, is that we are out there, we are here to help the Dutch entrepreneurs wherever you are. We're not focusing on our own country per se. We also look together with the entrepreneur, what would be the best place for you to start your business if you haven't decided which part of the countries in ASEAN would be ideal. So we do collaborate a lot. We keep open minds, and please do reach out to any of our team members, our colleagues, where we can help. That's why we are here for. So thanks, Guido, and thank you all for joining today. Much appreciated.
Beautiful, Hans. Thank you very much for your comment. And we are coming, I think, to the closure of this session. What we did today was basically round off a creative process where we have built the website. We built a bit of a proposition, if you will, where Dutch market entrants, but also members of our respective chambers can more easily, even more easily than before, connect to one of the directors of the chambers. What we see is that ASEAN is still top of mind. We have a nice number of visitors. We have scored a nice number of subscribers to the newsletter. Gonna send it out tomorrow. So there's gonna be, let's say, a bit more of a collective effort coming from the chambers in regards to, let's say, how we attract Dutch market entrants. And of course, that's a bit of a pilot, and we'll see how that develops. Many thanks to the speakers, specifically to Edo Offerhouse from NL Business. They are also supporting this project for the coming period of time, and very much looking forward to work together with the chambers on making this marketing strategy, if I may, happen. Thanks to everyone for paying attention, and I hope to see you soon in real life here in Vietnam or anywhere else in ASEAN. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Guido. Good job.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to all the entrepreneurs for joining.
Thanks, everybody. Great session.
Bye, colleagues.